So thank you everyone for coming. I think it's very fitting that we started this week with authenticity and we're finishing with authenticity. So to introduce myself, I'm Madelin Thompson. I've been a proud Laurier Golden Hawk since 2016 when I began my BBA at Laurier. So I currently work within the recruitment and admissions team at Laurier, and I've been there now for 2 years. So within recruitment and admissions at Laurier, we have the Canadian student recruitment team, the admissions team, and then we have the marketing and communications team, and that's the team that I work on. So in terms of what I do on a daily basis, I'm the front-end CRM expert, so I'm writing and scheduling and sending all of the emails to go to prospective students and applicants that are admissions related, marketing, so open house, events, all of that fun stuff. And then just on top of that, I'm also pursuing my MBA right now and diving a little bit more into the data-driven marketing side of things and I'll wrap that up next year. All right, so today, to start off, I'm going to introduce the project that I'll be speaking about. Then I'll go through the results. Then I'll go through a little bit of Laurier's brand overview, which shows why we did everything. Then the scope and resources so that you guys can see if this is maybe a project you could implement in your teams. And then a little activity just to get your brains working at the end of the day. So to start off, the Admissions Top Questions series is what I'll be talking about today. So as you can see, this is the email campaign that we sent out. This is the December version. We started in September and we ran a monthly email out until May. So as you can see, it starts out, hey, future Golden Hawk, welcome back to our monthly Admissions Top Questions video series. Watch the 4th video in the series to get all the answers you need about OUAC, upcoming deadlines, when you'll hear back from us, and more right from the Laurier experts. So as you can see, when they open this email, they know exactly what they'll find in the video if they have any of these questions. And now I'm just going to play the video so you guys can all see an example.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Admissions Top Questions series. My name's Sharon and I'm the recruitment coordinator at Laurier. My team and I are here to help guide you along as university application deadlines approach. Keep watching to find out everything you need to know about OUAC, key dates and deadlines, how to best plan your application around the winter break, and when you'll hear back from us. Feel free to use the chapters feature to skip to what you care about most. So you're ready to apply. Now what? To start your application, visit ouac.ca. Once there, you'll select the undergrad application. Click Create your OUAC account and input the required information to get started. Now you can start submitting applications to the programs you're interested in. The base fee includes up to 3 applications. If you would like to apply to more than 3 universities, there will be an additional fee for each application. You may only apply to 3 programs per university. Using Laurier's program web pages, you can quickly find the OUAC codes for the programs you want to apply to, or you can search through our programs listing within OUAC. Once you've found the programs you want to apply to, all that's left for you to do is pay your application fees and submit. You can revisit your OUAC account at any time to review submitted information, including Ontario high school grades submitted by your school. If you're applying from an Ontario high school, be sure to get your application in by mid-January deadline so that you don't miss your chance to get into the programs you want. If you're not an Ontario high school student, make sure to get your application in before the April deadline. Some programs will accept applications after the deadline, but it is best to get your application in as soon as possible. Why leave anything to chance? Once your app is in, you'll get an email from us within a couple days with confirmation that we got your application and login details so you can access your applicant portal. We'll contact you at the email address on your OUAC account, so make sure you check that email regularly. We will begin assessing your application once we receive grades from your Ontario high school, or if you're not attending a high school in Ontario, once you've submitted all the required documents in your applicant portal. You could get a decision from us within a few weeks if you're eligible for an offer based on the grades we have received. If you are not eligible yet, We will wait to decide until more grade information becomes available. If you submit all applications prior to the deadline, you should hear back from us by the end of May. If you submit your applications for multiple Laurier programs, you may receive decisions at different times based on the specific eligibility requirements for each. Get your applications in early. The university will be closed for the holidays soon. Applications submitted later in December may not receive a confirmation email with applicant portal login details until early January. The earlier you apply, the sooner you'll get access to your applicant portal. Stay tuned for our January episode, where Tyler will go over when and how to submit documents, how to improve your application with an applicant background summary, and what to do if you miss the deadline.
All right, so as you can see in this...
Hey everyone, welcome back to the third episode in... Hey.
Okay, we're good. As you can see in this video series, we took a topic that can often be very boring or even just something that students don't know about, and when they're looking at sites, it's just all numbers. They don't really know what it means. So we took a boring topic and turned it into authentic answers as well as leading with empathy. So we wanted to show them that we're there for them. We know that they have all of these answers, and those answers aren't necessarily on our websites, and we're definitely not going to be leading with empathy on our websites, as it's more of a factual place. So this gave us room to do that. And as well, then we were able to introduce the next series of topics at the end of the video. So if this video, they didn't have any questions, they'll know to come back next month.
Hey everyone.
There we go. So why we launched this series in the first place. So we wanted to set our students up for success first and foremost. We wanted to give them the knowledge so that they can make the decision that is best for them. And we really wanted to focus on the benefits rather than really bragging or self-promoting ourselves. We also just wanted to become a trusted advisor within this space. So setting ourselves up as an expert in admissions, whether or not they're going to choose Laurier or not, we want to help them. That's just how we are at Laurier. And then finally, and probably the most important thing, was building capacity. So we had been getting a lot of prospective student inquiries at Service Laurier. So having a series that we could just direct students to was very helpful. And the fact that we were sending this out to all of our prospects and applicants, we were often answering these questions before they even came to Service Laurier to ask them. So we avoided that overall. Additionally, we were running webinars every year, especially since COVID, and we were running about 3 webinars every year for admissions during peak times. We had maybe about 100 to 300 registrants every time. But these webinars were always run by admissions people. So they were always working after hours to run these webinars. They weren't necessarily the most comfortable on camera, as their jobs were admissions and assessing, not recruiters who are often very comfortable on webinars and webcams. So with this YouTube video series, the results, we had over 14,000 total views on this series in total. So when you think about the fact that we were hitting maybe 100 to 300 students for 3 webinars a year, we were able to reach so many more students by launching this series and answer so many more questions that these students had. So each video alone was reaching over the average of 1,600 views, with one receiving even 3,000 views, the one that I just showed you guys. So it just far surpassed the point that we even thought we could. And as you can see with the open rate and the total clicks, we got about half of all of these views through our email campaign. So that was definitely the most successful way that we were able to reach these students, as it was direct to their email inbox. And for us, a 4.8 click-through rate is very successful. I'd say we have an average of about 3% for marketing-specific emails. Event emails are normally 10 to 20%, but for something like this, it was very successful. And then we were also able to add a little bit of personalization with the international piece, and we were posting all of these videos on WeChat as well. Anecdotally, we just noticed that we had more informed applicants, less inquiries. We also introduced Laurier as a trusted advisor, as we hoped for. We were hearing from students often that they felt relieved after watching a lot of these videos. And also, we just had a resource to be able to send students whenever they asked questions. And I added some of the reach that we had on social media as well. The social media campaign definitely wasn't a focus for us this year, but it's something that we'd want to look a lot more into next year, as we'd want to increase our Facebook and LinkedIn interactions, and I'll go into that in a bit. All right, so this is an example of our style guide that we created at Laurier before I even launched this project. So these are the key points that we hit from our style guide when implementing this project. So as you can see, at the top of our style guide with vibes is authenticity and transparency. So at Laurier, that's one of our most important things, and we were definitely able to work it into this series, being able to answer their questions. When are you going to hear back? When are you going to receive an email from us? A lot of times we're not able to answer those questions, but we answered them as best as we could in this video series. As well, as I mentioned, the inclusivity, the personalization with hitting the international audience as well as the domestic audience. When we initially launched this series in 2022, we had 2 separate videos, one for international, one for domestic. But the international one wasn't performing very well, so to use the resources to hit both of those audiences, we found it just to be a lot more effective to combine them into one video. And as you could see in the last slide as well, the international campaign actually performed better than the domestic one with the personalization in there. All right, and as you can see when I flip through here, we actually added Facebook and LinkedIn. So that's because over 70% of parents are involved as advisors, and they are the ones that are on those platforms. So we wanted to be hitting both parents on those platforms. Whereas YouTube, being where that series was, that's one of the main ones that Gen Z uses, as well as Instagram, of course. It was one of our most successful ones, as that's where our target audience is. And then finally, so getting accurate information quickly is really important to this audience. So in that email that I read out, it had about 3 lines in it, and they could instantly see what it had in the video, so they could decide in that 8-second attention span if it was for them or not. And then at the start of each series, we also told them to skip to the questions that mattered most to them. We didn't want them watching the whole video if they didn't need to. We wanted them finding the answers they needed. This is another slide within our style guide, so this is why we talk. The main things that we focused on here were to inform, so to let the future students know about the key deadlines, updates, and anything that will affect their admissions at Laurier. And then as well to support. We wanted to communicate the warmth and community that is Laurier in practical and meaningful ways. And then finally, the final part of our style guidelines is how we sound. So we mostly focused on the concise and conversational piece here. So always writing like you speak. Super simple, short sentences as much as you can so that they know what you're saying. It's really important for admissions info to be written so that grade 12 and grade 11 students know what you're talking about, and also their parents that are reading it. You never know who will be reading that content. And then most important, empathize more than impress. So this wasn't about shouting Laurier. This was about making sure that they feel confident in their decision, as post-secondary education is a huge decision in students' lives, and they're making these decisions at such a young age. And so if you went to Lauren's presentation yesterday, you may have seen the user journey mapping that she presented on. So this is just a little sneak peek of it, and we used this user journey guide from all the research we got from it to know what students' pain points are throughout that journey and throughout those months. When we started brainstorming, we needed to know, what do we hit on each month? We're doing 8 different videos. We needed a topic, or I think we did like 2 to 4 topics in each video. So finding those pain points. I don't know if I can actually read it from here, but those main pain points were receiving an alternate offer. They didn't understand why they received an alternate offer. So being able to explain that in a video was really helpful. Another pain point was just they don't know when they're going to receive an offer. They've already received an offer from another school. So why haven't they received an offer from us yet? So in these video series, we made sure to mention, as well as an email campaign that we actually have called You're Golden. So we tell the students, we email them, letting them know we have all the documents we need from them. They don't need to do any more. We're just waiting on their grades. So we can't, unfortunately, assess their application until we get those additional grades. Just that reassurance really helps students. And then what also guided our decision was our key stakeholders. So this was a huge part of the brainstorm, was meeting with all of these stakeholders. So within recruitment and admissions itself, I met with the Canadian student recruitment team, as they're the recruiters that are on the road every day. They're talking to students, they're understanding those pain points and what questions they have each month of that journey. As well, the admissions team. They're getting all of those emails from students with questions. So they were really able to inform which questions student had at each time in their journey. And then we also brought in international recruitment and partnerships to make sure we had that inclusivity, and service Laurier as they were getting some of those questions. And they also see students every single day. So having a group there that talks to students, because we aren't a service provider, that was very nice to have. Okay, so now getting into the project scope, how long this project took. So the scripting and brainstorming took about a month. And then from there, we actually shot all of these videos in one day. We outsourced to a company. They're called Atomic Spark. They're located in Kitchener-Waterloo, but we use them for a lot of our video work. So they were able to shoot it, I think, in one afternoon even. It didn't take a whole day. And then each video they edited took about 1 to 2 weeks to edit. So we were getting these back pretty quick. And then from there, it was just a couple hours to make the video campaigns, post on social media, and do all of that fun stuff. So in total, it was about an 8-month project, but the actual capacity that it took from our team was very little. It was that one afternoon and then a few hours once a month, which was really great to have such a high quality series without using too many resources. And in terms of project costs, so we did this 2 years in a row. So the first year, it was actually recorded on a webcam, so it was a little cheaper. And then that second year, we brought in the video team, so it was a little more expensive. So in total, this project has cost us almost $6,000 so far, which I would say for a post-secondary education project is actually very little. Even some other video teams that we've worked with, this would cost $10,000 for 1 year of the project. So that was a big win. So now I want you guys to think about what questions you could answer for your students, whether or not it's prospective students or current students. So first, thinking just who your audience might be, what questions they need answered, and then how you could implement it. So I know that one example we're thinking of is we recently ran another webinar for finance and scholarships, as they're a part of our general enrollment services within our department. And we had over 300 students register, and then a lot of them expressed interest afterwards, asking for the webinar to be sent to them. And of course, it's never best practice to post an hour-long YouTube video, but a lot of students want that. So we're thinking next year we're going to make a similar video series for finance and scholarships. It wouldn't be as extensive. We don't need one every month for 8 months for that topic. So we'd probably do about 3 videos in the times that matter most to the students, and just answer those questions that they're getting asked in all of the webinars. And it would relieve a lot of those capacity concerns, and just being able to send students somewhere is such a nice feeling. Because posting webinars on YouTube, I know we did it a lot in COVID, but it is definitely not fun to go through those. So yeah, if you guys want to group together and talk about a couple of these questions, I'll also encourage the people online to submit their ideas in the chat. I'll give you a couple minutes. All right. I hope you guys all had some great conversations. If anyone wants to share some of their ideas, we'll pass the mic around.
We talked about alumni as a potential audience, and one of the things we uncovered is that our new alumni who need help, finding a job, something niche that we could offer as a faculty communications team is how to tailor your resume to properly represent co-op experience versus mentorship experience versus how to leverage certain projects in your courses. Because I've had experience with an alumni from one of our master's programs who had it sort of buried under education when it really is, especially in a business program, it's practical work experience. So it's one of the things we talked about. Would anyone else like to add something?
Yeah. Yeah, I could just I'm part of the customer service team, and so a lot of the questions that we get is how walk me through how to do things, how to pay your fees, that kind of thing. And so the kind of content that we produce is more instructional, where it's step by step. Here's how you apply. Here's how you pay your fees. So that's kind of two different sides of. There's the recruitment side where it's we're kind of showing you why you should come here, and then there's the current students. Let's show you what to do. So that's kind of the two perspectives that we had. I don't know if anybody else wants to share your stuff. No? Okay. Okay, sure.
So I did this a couple years ago. I used to work for a master professional accounting program, and you have to become a CPA, right? If you want to be an accountant, you have to become a CPA. So I made a video that was the steps to take to become a CPA. And in it, it said, if you want to do it, we're an option for your education portion. The whole video was like a half hour long, so it was a really long one. But it was really, really simple and easy to understand, whereas going on the CPA website was really complicated and difficult. So we made it really easy for people to understand. And then we had alumni in faculty positions all across Canada. So I emailed them directly and said, hey, I made this video. Can you share it in your class? Can you show it, or can you give it to your students? And it did really, really well. So right now it's sitting at about 59,000 views.
Nice.
And I advertised for about 29,000 of that, but 30,000 organic views is pretty legit. So
Amazing. All right. The next slide is just the end. I'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, if we have any questions here, or I could not see any in the chat as of yet, but if you post your questions in the chat as well.
And I also don't think I added the context. All of the engagement we received was organic. We didn't this year put anything through paid marketing. Is it on?
Rude. You talked a little bit about sort of your process of making the videos, but I'm curious about when you thought about what you wanted the video to look like, or what were your tactics or best practices that you thought about when making the videos themselves.
That's a good question. So when we started this series, we actually had an in-house video editor. So she was the one who really envisioned how it would look, with going through the pages to show where they could find the information, but then adding all of that context in the background, what they were saying. In terms of scripting the videos to begin with, that's really where we started, from the brainstorming document that we put together with all of the key stakeholders. It was just like a meeting with everyone putting their ideas into each month. And then we took that and turned it into, okay, how can we approach this from an empathy standpoint? And then the in-house video editor then took that and made more of a creative direction with the scrolling through the web pages and all of that. Did that answer your question?
Okay, do we have any other questions? Yeah.
I'll just
Is it on? Okay, yeah. Just checking. I'll just ask, do you have any thought as how you might approach personalization or customization? Looking at that one video was felt very much directed to the student who's coming directly out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I know for us, we have a lot of mature students now, so it's a very different feel and different anxieties or worries or concerns.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you approach a campaign like this to consider various audiences and different personas?
Yeah, so that's definitely a difficulty that we had this year. So in terms of who we targeted applicant-wise, we were only targeting those 101 apps out of high school and then those 105 apps out of high school. So we were actually filtering out any transfer or mature students from our email campaigns. I would love to be able to incorporate some more transfer info, and I would probably approach that by meeting with, so we have a transfer and pathways coordinator in the admissions team. So next year, looking at what improvements we can make to this series, I would definitely bring her in on them to see, can we reach both audiences at once? Just with the capacity we had this year, we chose to be more targeted, but I think that's a great idea for the future. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, I was just wondering if you ever considered using artificial intelligence like Be Human or something like that to do any videos?
I did see that in the one presentation today. Honestly, it terrifies me. For something to have like both your voice recording and your face, that's terrifying to me that it can look real. But I think our biggest, barrier with that would be, does it still look empathetic? Can AI be empathetic? I don't know if the enunciation in their voice could be similar to what you had just watched there with Sharon being very warm and bubbly. I don't know if AI is capable of that yet. It would be amazing if one day it could, but that's also like, I don't know if I want that. Yeah.
Another.
You showed us an example of how you incorporated the videos into your emails,
Mhm.
and you also talked about social stats.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a little bit about how you use the videos on social media?
Yeah, so in terms of Instagram, we were only posting the videos with a link to our stories because we don't find that prospective students are following the Laurier account or that they're really interacting with our posts, but they do keep us in their search bar, if that makes sense, and they look at our stories. I don't know if you, as a Gen Z myself, I do this. I don't follow most people, but I keep like my most interested in my search bar, and I always watch their stories. So the stories were definitely where we were getting the most interaction. We tried a couple posts and they didn't perform well on Instagram, whereas I'll actually go back to that. We were getting a lot more engagement from those stories. And then where I said we definitely need to improve, stop going back, is the LinkedIn and Facebook. I feel like we took a very relaxed approach to that instead of targeted. So we just copied and pasted the same thing on Facebook and LinkedIn, which I know is not best practice. That's not what we would want to do in the future. But currently in our team, we don't have anyone who has social media within their job description. So we were really just doing what we could with the resources we had. So yeah, next year I would want to write those specifically for parents and target them so that they know that we're hitting them on LinkedIn and Facebook. And then with Instagram stories, just see maybe we could explore paid marketing with Instagram stories because we were just using organic this year. And paid definitely does so much better on Instagram. My thing's frozen, but that's okay.
I actually had a question too. So you mentioned that you're doing a video, or you've done a video campaign, and that next year you're planning to do another. And so I'm just wondering, do you worry about kind of overloading them with videos, and what are kind of strategies that you use to avoid that?
Yeah, so in terms of what I mean by we're doing a new one next year, it'll be hitting a different audience, right? We'll be hitting the current grade 12s next year with just updated videos. So the budget will look a lot smaller next year because we won't have to do a whole overhaul. The purpose of these videos are to be evergreen. So every year we only have to tweak some small things within video editing, maybe a couple voiceovers. So we will only be hitting the next cohort of students once every month again. That will be what it looks like. And then in terms of other video stuff that we put out, that's more targeted in the conversion and like resident specific videos. Yeah.
Are there any other questions in the room? No. And I'm not seeing any in the chat either.
Yay.
So I think we will.
It's done.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your time. And this is a gift on behalf of us. Yeah. Okay. We'll wrap up that session here. And I'll pass it over.
Okay, so the other room's still going, so I'm going to do 2 goodbyes. So we did it. It's day 2, end of day 2, and PSC Web has come to a close. I hope you all found some learnings and, I don't know, new tools to use as you go back to your work and to your creative lives. In the next couple weeks, you'll receive a survey and the videos of all the sessions the last 2 days. We just need some time to get those uploaded, and then we'll send them out to the emails that you registered with. And with the survey, there's some chance to win discounts and tickets to next year, and also watch for updates about where next year will be. If you're in person and you're taking the shuttle tonight, the shuttles leave town at 5:15 and 8:30, and people need to be at the airport on time. So be in front of Pomeroy or CV, wherever you're getting picked up, by 5 o'clock, and watch for the shuttle. And if you had signed up for a shuttle and you're not taking it, if you could just let a team member know or email info@, so they know that they haven't left somebody behind, they'll feel a lot better about that. So I want to do a quick thank you to all of our sponsors, our platinum sponsors, Paper Leaf, who also sponsored all of the speaker gifts and the 2 social events. So that was really great of them. Gold sponsors, Bravery Media. Silver sponsors, Canopy Studios and Terminal 4. Bronze sponsors, Academica, Little Forest, and Prospectus Plus. And again, thank you to all the orange shirts, all of our planning team and day of. Sorry? Oh, and on deck. Oh, I'm sorry, on deck. You're in our hearts. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why that didn't show up in my list. And thank you to Danny and the whole Olds College of Agriculture and Technology crew who helped us put this on. And happy birthday, Danny. I hope this was a great way to spend your birthday. Okay, we'll see you. Well, we'll see you in some of the live stream in the next room, but we'll see you next year, hopefully.